So something that's kind of interesting that I've observed is that people will spend much more time on mechanics than they do on the actual offer that they make in their marketing. And this is a big mistake. This is why people don't see the kind of results that they should when they actually do marketing mechanisms that make sense. What do I mean by marketing mechanisms that make sense? Well, it's kind of a play on words because the sense is money, right? But also they're smart. And marketing mechanisms that make sense are those that will actually allow you to be able to sell. And that goes back to marketing rule number 19, which if you haven't heard before, is you got to know how you're going to sell before you decide how you're going to lead capture, because how you lead capture determines how you can sell. So today I went on I always like to click on Facebook ads just because I love to see how they do things. And this particular Facebook ad clicked to a page that had just the first name and the email address. And I already knew this person doesn't know about marketing mechanisms that make sense because they are doing something stupid. They're only asking for name and email. And this is really fascinating because this company was actually they're a software marketing company. And so it's kind of funny to see them not understand the fundamentals. And why do they only ask for name and email? Well, the reason they ask for name and email is because they know they're going to get a higher conversion if they ask for less information. Now, this is a big myth that's been propagated, and I'm kind of laughing because it's kind of silly, but at the same time, it's very serious, right? And it's serious because when people do this, when they make this mistake and they don't use marketing mechanisms that make sense, what they end up doing is they end up cutting themselves off at the kneecaps. And how does that happen? Well, if I've got a name and an email address and that's all I've captured, what happens is now the only way I can sell is with email. And we all know, I mean, we don't have to have a debate about it. We all know that email, while it can be powerful, is very ineffective. And what that means is that you got to send a whole lot of emails to get the kind of results that you would have expected maybe 5 years ago or even a couple of years ago, because email has gotten so competitive and the tools around reading email have gotten so smart that they're just cutting you off, and it makes it very difficult for email to be a way to sell. And you've only got one mechanism now to sell, essentially. I mean, you could do remarketing through like Facebook or something like that, but even that is dependent on that email matching up with their email in their Facebook account. So, and that's like a 40% chance. So you really cut yourself off when that's all you've done. But people will do this because they spend less time on cultivating a compelling offer and more time on the mechanics of capturing a lead and then sticking them into a marketing automation funnel of some sort, and trying to have that machine then do all the selling for them. And this is a great way to create a business that does okay. So if that's what you're into, then that's fine. But if you really want to have a business that's successful, spend time working on and refining your offer so it's compelling. And the number one secret to creating a compelling offer is empathy. You've got to get into the shoes of the person who is a prospective customer of your company. When you get into their shoes and you really understand the problem from their perspective, you've taken the biggest step to getting a compelling offer. You understand what it is that they want. And too frequently what I see is people come up with offers that are compelling from their perspective as a business, but not from the perspective of the prospect. And because of that, they have to ask for very little information because they don't have very much trust, because they haven't taken the time to really understand what is it that the prospect really wants. What is keeping the prospect from taking action? What is it that is preventing them from having success? And because they haven't taken the time, and this isn't really difficult, especially if you've been in business for a little bit. If you've been in business for a little bit, no doubt you've heard these points from the prospects you've talked to. As you talk to somebody, they've expressed, well, here's what I'm looking for, and here's what I'm looking for. Here's the frustration I'm running into trying to find the solution that I want. And when you understand those things, you think about them, your ability to craft an offer that is compelling from the perspective of the prospect goes way up. And so it's not that it's a very difficult thing, but it's something that requires some effort. And a lot of people don't do this. Instead, they just ask for name and email. Now, I'm going to flip this on its head and go to someone I've seen that's been creating a fairly compelling offer. And in this compelling offer, they are pushing people to a web page that asks for the full name, the email address, so first name, last name, email address, and the mobile phone number. And all four of those fields are required. Now, that's not the very best, but it's much better than just asking for first name and email. And by their ability to do this, and they've been talking about how successful this funnel has been on their podcast. And I think they did something like somewhere in the neighborhood of 200,000 one month with this funnel. And all it is a very simple page. It's got that form on it underneath the video that explains what their offer is. And then it asks for all 4 of those things. And if you don't give them all 4 things, then you can't then take the next step in this funnel. And the reason that they're able to do that and ask for those things is because number one, I know this person. I've talked to them personally and kind of gave them some training on the importance of capturing the mobile phone number. So they understand marketing rule number 19, that in order for you to sell, you got to know how you're going to sell before you decide how you lead capture. Because of that, they're able to ask for the information that they should. This person's very high profile, so I'm sure that you've seen this funnel or heard of it. But in this funnel, he's asking for the information. He's able to get it because he worried more about crafting the offer than he did on the mechanics. Now, you got to get the mechanics right, as obviously I've laid out. If you just ask for first name and email, you've shot yourself in the foot, and your chances of success are way lower. But if you ask for the full name and the email and the phone number and the mobile phone number, it's not as effective as maybe having somebody text in, but it's still better than nothing. And so that person is thinking, okay, I know I need to use the phone number to sell people who act like buyers but don't buy. So if you got my last video, you know that I talked about shoulda bots. And so shoulda bots are people that look like buyers but then don't actually buy. And the reason that they're not buying isn't because they're buying from somebody else. You'll be curious to find out that most people who don't buy, that enter into your funnel in some way, haven't bought from anybody, because there's something that's keeping them from buying. There's a question or concern. And because they don't have an easy way to communicate that, where they feel like it's going to be safe for them to communicate that, they end up doing nothing. And that's a vast majority of the people. Now, some people go and they'll search and they'll find another solution. But a vast majority of the prospects that you have that are acting like buyers but not buying haven't bought from anybody. And if you can just open the door for them to ask that question, then you'll see that you'll get a lot of profit coming in that is profit you've already paid for but haven't received. So that's the big key. So spend a little time thinking about what is it that our prospect wants. And it's interesting, when I do calls with people and I do strategies with people, that's the question I'll ask. I say, well, what is it that they want? And everybody is able to answer that question. I've had very few people that haven't been able to answer that question. Most can answer it like that. And then immediately the light bulb shows up above their head and they go, oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. I'm asking from my perspective. I'm doing lead generation from my perspective, and I'm not doing it from their perspective. And as soon as I give them that little hint, the little hint I gave you in this video, they're able to immediately turn things around and start seeing increased results. So that's my recommendation to you. Spend more time on the offer than the mechanics. And when you do, then you can do great mechanics. You can use marketing mechanisms that make sense. They'll be able to generate the money that you need. Now, if you think this was interesting to you, this is all just kind of a tip of the iceberg of what I cover in my book. Let's see, I've got it around here somewhere. The Messaging Connection. I want to give you a free audio version of it and a PDF. That way you can get it immediately and get going to town on learning from it by just texting LEARN to, let me put my glasses on so I can see the number, 949-835-5300. And I'll put that in the comments below. But if you do that, what will happen is you're going to be able to get a copy of the book. You can listen to it, or you can look at the PDF. I recommend looking at the PDF as well as listening to it. Listening is more convenient, but read the PDF and you'll be able to learn exactly how it is that you can be able to implement these strategies we're talking about, of being able to know how to sell and know what lead capture you need to do so that you can sell well. And you'll realize that it's not like you have to do a whole bunch of extra work. And the little work that you do will have a huge return, because there's a ton of people in your business or around your business that want to buy from you, but just have one thing holding them back. And if you can give that one thing to them, that opportunity to be able to speak with you in a safe way, which is what texting does, then you're going to have great success. So text LEARN to 949-835-5300. and you can get a free audio version of my book. If you want to get a print copy, you can get it on Amazon. It's real easy, but I'm going to give you the PDF and the audio version so that you can be able to start benefiting from it today.